Welcome to the last training, Critical Decision Points for Suicide Prevention Among Achievers. Difficult topic to discuss, but it's a very important topic, urgent topic to discuss, because more of us need to be involved in preventing those that we care about, those that we love, from getting so deep and in such a dark place where they consider taking their own lives. Let me review the first 4 steps that we've covered in previous videos. Thought impulse, step 1. Contemplation, step 2. Expression, step 3, resolution, step 4, step 5 is action. They actually execute the decision to take their lives. Now, if it does not get to this point, it stops at resolution. They resolve not to. We also help them resolve what next steps need to be taken so that they don't relapse back into dark thinking, so they can move forward. We preserve a life, they preserve their life, they see how important they are to others, and therefore how important they are to themselves. Action is the step that we never want to experience. It puts everyone that loved that person into a dark place. It becomes a traumatic life event for everyone that cared about them. And as a traumatic life event, we have to go through the stages of going through something that is extremely painful. The anger, the guilt, the depression, because it applies to everyone, forgiveness, acceptance, and then we come to a point where we love who they were and we preserve their memory. Here are 3 things I want to share with you that I already shared. Whenever someone decides to take their own life, number 1, I've already shared, everyone else is put in a space of a traumatic life event. And that's something that they need to know in advance. That's step 4, resolution. A parent puts a parent in a crisis of forgiveness. Because as a parent, we have to forgive our child for doing something that not only permanently affects their life, but it permanently affects our life. Every parent remember their child, the day they took their own life, 2 times a year, at least. The day they were born, their birthday, and on the day they took their life, for the rest of their life. There is a fundamental principle in the book of Song of Solomon. I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. I'm going to share this principle with you. Song of Solomon is a love story. Shulamite maiden with the shepherd boy. King Solomon's pursuing the Shulamite maiden because she's gorgeous. And she's sharing her story. Part of her story, she says, love is as strong as death is. But in reality, love is stronger than death is. Because when someone decides to take their own life, the people that loved him or loved her, continues to love them. We love as long as we live. We don't love as long as someone else lives. But it puts a parent, because of that, in the crisis of forgiveness. Here is what I want to share with you next. If you are the observer, if you are someone that knows a parent that has gone through it, there's certain things that are inappropriate to say. They're dismissive to say. I want to share those things with you. The first is that their child is in a better place. It's dismissive. It's offensive. They're not in a better place. It's a religious thing to say that comes from not thinking through anything except for the fact that it's a religious thing to say. Inappropriate. Second thing, never to tell someone that has lost their child, lost anyone in death, especially a parent who's lost their child. Doesn't matter how old the child was. And I, years ago, went to a funeral and the pastor said this at the funeral. God needed another angel. That's offensive. It's disrespectful. It's dismissive. Here's what it says. So let me see. God needed 1,000 angels. He got 998. So to make up for it, being God, instead of creating 2 more that he needed, he took my child. It's so offensive. It's horrible to say that. And it's careless to say. Here's what you can say. I'm sorry for your loss. That's it. I'm sorry for your loss. Here's what that says, that I care about you, love the person that's gone, but I'm here for you. Here's a second thing you can tell someone. If you ever want to talk about it, I'll be here to listen. Now, if you notice, I didn't say if you ever need to talk about it, because a parent who loses a child doesn't want to feel that they need to talk to you about anything. They really don't. And if the child was an achiever, that child was an achiever because the parent was an achiever. And achievers, we carry our own weight, our own load. But if you say, whenever you want to, I'm here to listen. Not to tell you what to do next, not to tell you how you feel, not to tell you, just to listen as a listening ear. You've been amazed how much relief that gives to a grieving parent, because the parent doesn't feel obligated. The parent doesn't feel weak. They already feel weak losing their child. It doesn't obligate you either. This puts you in a position, if you need anything, if you want anything, I'm here for you. I'm going to share this last thought with you that's important, because I believe it'll help you see it more clearly. Here's the story. Jesus Christ with his disciples went in another part of the country. Lazarus was sick. He was dying. Jesus knew Lazarus was dying. They traveled in a few days to go see Lazarus. Lazarus he's already dead. He had died. He was already in the tomb, wrapped up. One of the sisters, Martha or Mary, I don't know which one it was, probably Mary, approached Jesus and said to him, "Lord, if you were here, my brother would not have died." Now, what happened next is extremely important for you as someone who comforts a parent who's lost their child. The experience says Jesus gave way to tears. Seeing the grief of Martha and Mary, all of Lazarus' friends, he loved Lazarus, was one of Lazarus' friends. He gave way to tears because death is such a dark experience. The pain that comes up, the body releases it through tears. Now, the question is, why didn't Jesus say, "Don't worry, I'll resurrect him. I'll bring him back to life"? He knew he was going to bring him back to life. Why didn't he just say that? It's dismissive. It doesn't stay in the present emotions of what has just happened. He didn't do that. After he expressed his grief in tears, then he said he will rise. So he empathized, he sympathized with his sisters and with Lazarus' brother and with himself as Lazarus' friends, people that loved him, and then said, "I have the power to do something about it. I'm going to do it." We don't have the power to do anything about someone that we've lost once they're gone. But we can grieve in that space, in that presence with someone who's lost them by saying, "Sorry for your loss." We don't want to get to step 5. I've lost 2 people that were not even 30 years old. One of them I only met one time. I only met her twice, actually. I saw her in the religious services. We went out to lunch, her and an old friend that I knew. I knew the old friend and went out to lunch and met her one time. Beautiful, gorgeous girl. Young, vibrant. And when she took her life, I was so agitated. And I said, "Floyd, if you feel that way, you only met her one time, how do you think her parents, people that have known her their whole life, feel?" Wrote my second book based on that, Making All Things Possible. Third book was written, dedicated to her. Critical Decision Points for Suicide Prevention Among Achievers. Why? Because we all need to know this. It's like knowing CPR. We all need to know it, even though we don't want to have to use it. Hopefully this training, very brief, I've shared with you, will help you, guide you through assisting someone, helping someone that expresses to you, out of the blue seems like, that they're having such a tough time that they're considering ending the most valuable and precious thing that they have. As always, I wish you all the blessings and success you deserve.